what's the level of true buy-in you've got from staff into the brand, and what's got them to really adopt it?
I think obviously working with my whole previous career in a more corporate environment, CEF's still a family business. And the legacy there of the original founder and the family is huge. And people, there is a different feeling coming into a business that is a family business, and it's exactly the same as yourselves.
Yeah.
And I think people buy into working for the family, supporting the family, because the family has looked after its staff as the development, and there's reward mechanisms in place, and not just the financial side of it. There's a softer sort of side to working for that type of business as well. And there's, it has to be flexibility in that work-life balance these days. And I think that's more relevant than ever.
It really is.
And I think the staff really do buy into that, to the family feel. And every 2 years there's a conference for all the staff, etc. On the back of CEF Live, and the family there are very honest. And I think probably one of the things that's really surprised me is the honesty that CEF shares with both its staff but also supply chain.
Right.
So when we do supplier events, which we do once a year, the senior management team will share information that probably other businesses may feel would be confidential. Yeah. And I think that honesty and openness is a real trait of CEF, and that will continue. Yeah.
I mean, this is again what we were talking about before we started recording. This is what the entire purpose. Obviously, there's for us as a business, it gives us exposure and gives us, some content that we can put out onto social media and the like. But fundamentally, the reason we decided to do this was to have these kind of conversations and be more open and honest. And I mean, I've said it before. If we had a customer who hated us for whatever reason, hopefully there's none out there, or a contract who was fed up of our products, we've got no issue of having them on here and recording it and having that dialogue with them and trying to understand, well, where have we gone wrong and how can we fix it. So I do think the journeys are very similar, actually. But with the customers, how have they bought into the brand, and how have they taken on?
That's been an interesting journey. So I can only speak for sort of the larger customers that we've targeted and been involved with, and the support has been amazing. But it wasn't just a case of turning up and expecting the business. Far from it. There was the perception of CEF, which you quite rightly articulated earlier on. So we needed to demonstrate exactly the capabilities we've got. And again, there were a certain number of branches dealing with certain sectors that have the skill set. So it's really understanding what the customer really needs, not just a blue sky PowerPoint presentation, but really understanding what the customer needs, and then making sure we've got the right locations, because 395 locations can't do everything for everybody. So, we've put skill sets into certain locations around larger contractors, especially around rail, etc., where we've got bespoke skill sets in place. And I think all we asked for was a chance. Once you get that first chance, the high level of service that has traditionally been known in the business then really just kick in. And this is going to sound perhaps a little bit soft and a bit soppy, but the branches that we really worked with in the early days, they didn't think they would ever deal with some of these customers.
Right.
And when they were given the opportunity, they absolutely grabbed it and loved it to death, as they still do. And that's allowed us to develop our relationships with some of the larger national customers. That's now led on to us developing what we call customer fulfillment centres, which are not branches, they're the large professional logistics warehouses that we can actually store bespoke products for projects, for bespoke markets, and the branches can utilise that space and utilise that skill set of the logistics there to service the customers. So we've launched 2 in London, in Dartford and Chesham, and the plan then is to roll those out across the country. So that's an exciting part of the jigsaw as well, for suppliers as well, because that allows us to stock product in bulk. Larger products, or perhaps more ugly type linear products, we can stock it in bespoke locations and then service customers nearer to the work and to the project.
Okay, brilliant.